Not too long ago, you had to shell out big bucks to get a quality smartphone. Last year, the Moto G proved that it's possible for a phone to have great specs and performance on a budget. In that same vein, I have here the Samsung Galaxy Avant. This phone is sold by T-Mobile with a list price of $216, and currently T-Mobile is having a summer promotion for existing customers with good history. I was able to get this phone for only $120. This is a fully featured phone with decent specs, especially for its price. It has a 1200 MHz quad-core processor, 1.5 GB of RAM, and runs Android 4.4.2 KitKat. It comes with 16 GB of built-in storage, and it also supports a micro SD card up to 64 GB for external storage. It has a 4.5 quarter HD display, a 5 megapixel back camera, and a 0.3 megapixel front camera. So without further ado, here is the device. Now this is a budget phone, so the build quality is nothing amazing. It's an all-plastic body, but it feels sturdy and has good weight. Just for reference, I'm going to show you this phone next to an iPhone 4 and a Nexus 4, just to compare in terms of size, thickness. Here you can see the iPhone 4 has a 3.5 inch display, the Nexus 4 has a 4.7 inch display, and of course our Galaxy Avant has a 4.5 inch display. Comparing thickness, you can see that's pretty similar to the Nexus. Pretty similar in thickness to the iPhone as well. Pulling off the back cover, we can see the SIM slot and micro SD slot, which supports up to 64 GB micro SD card and the removable battery. Here's a detailed shot of the textured back, which is meant to feel a little bit like leather. It's supposed to give it a more premium feel, and I kind of like it. It gives the phone a good grip, gives you some friction so that you're really holding onto the phone and you don't drop it too easily. This is a phone with decent design and decent build quality. Everything here looks pretty nice, not too ugly in my opinion. You can see here the volume buttons and the power buttons have good feel, good responsiveness, very clicky. And at the bottom here, the physical home button, capacitive menu button, and capacitive back button that Samsung has always had. Powering on the phone here, you can see that this device is running on Android 4.4.2 KitKat. Of course, it comes with Samsung's TouchWiz skin, but what this means is that this phone is going to have all of KitKat's optimization to help this phone perform really well. So here's the TouchWiz skin. If you've used the Samsung Galaxy device before, this will seem familiar. If you've seen a Galaxy S5, this interface will be nearly identical. It runs pretty fast, but this newest version of TouchWiz based on KitKat is really impressing me in terms of performance for everyday usage. It runs pretty fast in terms of app switching and multitasking, task management, etc. All of those things are working pretty well on this phone as I'm demonstrating here. Of course, the phone is going to come with a little bit of Samsung and T-Mobile bloat. Not too much, probably about 1 or 2 GB of pre-installed apps from T-Mobile and Samsung. Things like S-Voice, My Magazine, T-Mobile My Account, etc. Being a Nexus user, I've gone ahead and downloaded the Google Now Launcher APK file and installed it on this phone to give it more of a stock Android feel. This is possible because the phone runs Android KitKat. So I've gone ahead and turned on the Google Now Launcher just to show you guys how much of a Nexus-like experience you can get without even having to root this phone. As you can see, the design is now stock Android instead of TouchWiz. Of course, I have the Google Now pane to the left of the home screen. Folders, icons, and app drawer all have a different look. And of course, the all-important OK Google voice search, which lets you do things like this. OK Google, what's the weather in Tokyo, Japan?
Partly cloudy in Tokyo, Japan.
Very quickly about performance, this phone has a quad-core processor and 1.5 GB of RAM. With a good amount of apps open, I still have a little bit of RAM left. If you're like me, you probably close and kill any apps that you're not using at that time. Still, as you can see, with all these different apps open, multitasking, switching between apps pretty quickly, going back and forth, everything's moving fast and quick. Lastly, the 5 megapixel rear-facing camera is decent. It works fine for everyday snapshots with friends and family, selfies, Instagram, etc. Just don't expect to be blown away by this camera. After all, it is a cell phone camera, and after all, it is a budget cell phone camera. Nothing too special here. It's going to work for your everyday usage. The rear-facing camera is 0.3 megapixels. Of course, rear-facing cameras are usually pretty low quality, so no surprises there. Video chat, etc. It'll do you fine. So in conclusion, the Samsung Galaxy Avant is a pretty good bang for your buck device, showing how a mid-range device can have pretty good specs and performance on a budget. I definitely recommend it.